What's next for metals, tech, and rates? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Market House. I'm Maggie Lake, and today I'm talking markets with Dale Pinkert, trading coach at TradeGateHub. Hey there, Dale. Another crazy end to a pretty crazy week.
So the idea, Maggie, a couple of weeks ago about shorting silver, buying oil was a week early, and you took major heat with that, but paid off in spades. And what we're witnessing that pros have seen before is what happens when a parabolic move ends.
Yeah,
And
face
that's silver.
ripping is what we've been talking about, the potential for that, and that's what we saw today. So and it's not the only thing. We're gonna go around the topics. We had a hot PPI reading. Kevin Warsh nominated as the new Fed chair. Tech earnings, which went a couple different ways, but even if they were good, the stocks seem like they're pretty soggy, and a massive sell-off in metals and silver, which is what you're talking about, that parabolic move. And it feels like we've got to start there, because at one point silver was down 30% today. So walk me through what you were seeing in terms of that price action and what you're paying attention to.
Okay, well, actually, um, if you were in my room and if you followed me on Twitter, there were a few hints, and there were false starts. And then I wasn't expecting this parabolic stage. I thought it was already parabolic here.
Mm.
Okay. Um, but we had this initial break, and we're on the 4 hour chart right now. But if you notice, the RSI had all kinds of mo.
Mm.
All right. And silver started making higher highs, and all the time, all the way, even to yesterday, when we were at 120, you had divergences going on in silver. You didn't have it in gold. You had a confirmed high on the 4 hour, but you had it in silver. That was the first tell. The second tell was really my first tell was the gold silver ratio, which, while silver was making new highs this week, the gold silver ratio had already bottomed the week prior. Okay, so while silver was making new highs, this was the first time in a long time that silver blowing off did not lead to new lows in the gold silver ratio. So, anyway, I have a little story. So, on this 4 hour divergence, and I had one of those moments that you have as a mentor or trading educator, one of those gratifying moments. And if I could show you, here's a guy that I never met. I only know him by his handle. And
this is in your Discord channel, correct?
Yeah, and he has followed me for years, claims he learned how to trade from me with the methods that I show here all the time. And he was short silver from near the high. And he said, today I made the biggest profit ever in a single day, thanks to Coach.
Amazing.
All right.
Amazing. And Paul also saying exited some of his positions yesterday at the highs. Thank you, coach. And I think this is what is so important. So it's not just the call. Anybody can tell you to do anything. What you're talking about is he had a framework that he developed from listening to you, a framework to look at certain things and look for warning signs when things were turning. And he was able to, it sounds like, make a really, really timely call.
Oh, I mean, it's you could had a good year in a week, but the point being is that I know I do a lot of forecasting, but the money is made trading. You don't make money forecasting; you make money trading, which means you could take signals and be counter trend and not get killed. It would have been easier just to ride it up and know when to get off of the rocket ship. But forecasting, I could be wrong about forecasts, but that doesn't hurt my P&L. It's the trades that I take.
And that's hard. And often you are wrong, but if you protect yourself and you probe all the things you talk about, you can fight to live to fight another day. I just want to mention this is really important too while you're talking about that. And anyone else who has had an experience, good, better, ugly. I think that's what we call the show today, the good, the bad, and the bullion. But if you want to share, feel free to, or ask a question. But J&J also saying, I felt silly exiting my silver position earlier this week, but I'm feeling pretty good right now. And that's another thing. Like, there is a temptation to try to ride this and think you can time the top instead of, as you take partials, I think is what you call them.
Yeah,
You know,
I called everyone I know that, I talked to them about getting into silver physical at 20 and called them, and these are friends. And I said, take a third.
mhm,
This is a week to take a third. It's not a profit till you ring the register. You take a third, basically what you have is the rest of your silver after a move like that is
mhm,
free.
mhm.
You have no money invested. You've made money on your physical position and you have no cost. So the price isn't going to be as important to you. It's you have free silver now.
That's amazing. And then Cool Hand Luke saying same, felt painful selling earlier this week, but took the advice of Coach and Jared, and is feeling pretty good about it. And Endry said, must feel amazing knowing that one of your pupils made Mr. Market hurt a little bit. I got it right, which
Yeah,
is,
so what I'd like to impress upon everybody is when I come here, I don't just say, well, I think gold's going to here, or I think the dollar's going to there. Uh, I talk about the whys
mhm,
and the reasons for my conclusions. So this guy watched programs, he watches you, and learned how to do it by paying more attention to the whys and the method than the forecast.
and I think that is super powerful. And again, like, I'm using your vocabulary back at you because I think we all do that, and we all try to create a framework. So super valuable. And I'm happy that they share the story, because sometimes they just do it and don't come back and share it with you. So I'm
You
happy
know how
that.
well, as long as we're talking about guys or people that have learned three drives and how I use RSI. So if we go to the dollar, which I think was the trigger for all of this, basically being it was the catalyst was the selection of the Fed guy. But everyone probably remembers from last week that I was talking about that the dollar was going to 97, but I didn't think it would hold 97 because I thought euro could trade over 120, and it went right to my line at 120.80 up here.
Mm,
Okay. So I had this line drawn, showed it on the broadcast last week. So anyway, when we broke under 620, I was with the guys, the bear camp, where you broke. I have to. This is a channel everyone was watching, which has reinforced more bears than ever before. Is that we broke this uptrend that goes back, look how many years, back to 2010, 15-year trend line that
mm,
we held back here, but broke down here. The month is going to be, it's going to end up closing lower. But this is why people, and they could still be right, are
mhm,
talking about 90 and 85 in the dollar down the road. But what these guys pointed out to me is they said, Coach, you have a three drive on the weekly. And sometimes it takes someone else's eye for you to see something you're not seeing. I'm focused on the break of the trend.
mm,
And they point out to me, here's drive one, here's drive two, and that this could have been drive three. So we closed near the high of the week. And potentially, this could be a low in the dollar. First of all, everyone who got stopped out here are saying, why is the dollar over 97 when this was supposed to be a big breakdown when we took that low out? So no one's long, right? I mean, the last bull had their stop under this level. This day they went, phew, now I have to find a spot to get short, and maybe this is a spot. But now you have even more bearishness entrenched after a breakdown of a major trend line and even a confirmed low. So I'm going against my RSI work and went with the form of the three drives to a bottom.
mm.
And I'm long the dollar by being short Aussie and long USD CAD. So again, a community and people that know what have learned from me, the students, the mentees pointed out this 3 drive to a bottom on a weekly
Love it.
that I wouldn't have seen.
I love it. And you're right. Listen, we can all get fixated on
Isn't that a
something,
great story?
It's a great story. And it's
It's, and
also,
it's true.
it speaks to the power of community, which I think is really
It's
important.
really, it is.
Especially with these kinds of markets. So we got a couple questions coming in. Let's tackle them. First of all, so you're thinking the dollar's moving higher, but you're expressing it through the 2 crosses that you just said.
And
Since we're on currencies, Cav asking, hi coach, where is the sell the bounce in US dollar yen, basically? You said you mentioned you would be looking for it.
yeah, it's probably into this gap, do some fib work, because you remember I talked about it's the 2 carry trades are the yen and the dollar. So the dollar got weak for a while, so it looked like the carry trade was okay because they could move from the yen to the dollar. But I would look for some kind of fib retracement. Maybe we only get back to 56. But I don't have as much conviction about this as I do, because I know there are people bearish yen, but I just think there are more bears in the dollar down here after taking out major support, and no one's long. So I don't have as much conviction about the yen. I don't know, maybe the yen could rally again, but I'd use fib numbers. You have a gap here, and just try 50% retrace, 61.8% retrace. Because if they're just going to move together, then all we're going to get is another failing rally in the dollar. And I think the dollar now is going to squeeze people. And I have the same targets, about 102, that I had when I was looking for it to hold 97. So I'm just more bullish the dollar. And, I think euro now is headed down towards 111. And cable down towards 27. And Aussie down to 63. There'll be bounces along the way, but I'm fading my own RSI work because the euro has a confirmed high on the daily. It has a confirmed high on the 4-hour, which would imply that there could be another bounce. But this may have just, just washed all the euro bears out and dollar bulls out. But I like USD CAD. I think it's going to rally with risk off in the market, and Aussie. These are more like risk on, risk off currencies, and Aussie I think is going to sell off with the market. So more confident about those.
So let's go back to metals so we can sort of tie that up a little bit, because I know a lot of people, and Matt, we feel you. Matt said medic. I need a medic. And these are kind of heart-stopping days, Matt. So hang in there. But someone saying, I don't think this week signals that the gold silver bull run is over. They actually bought both of those as well as oil at the close. So where do you think, what happens from here now that we've seen this sort of very violent down move in silver? Gold sold off too, just clearly not as much as silver. What are you looking for now in terms of what happens when you get that kind of big reversal?
Well, I was looking for 68 in silver, and we're almost there. I thought maybe we would flush out some of the I didn't think it would get there in this fashion, which makes calling a bottom tough. But this $70 level is important. Okay. And gold almost got to an important level right here at 4,600. I think there's, if we get through 4,600, I think we could see 3,600 gold, and I'm really not sure what to be looking for in the silver. I need more evidence. I'm not just going to buy something that was in a train wreck. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you can't rally. That markets are like the ocean; they trade in waves, and there could be rallies. But I think 120 is it for a while. I don't think we're just going to regroup after this kind of move and make new highs right away. I think it'll have to bounce around and do some work, and I think it's going to be a few months before we know um, the entry point is. If you're buying physical, that's a different story. But if you're doing it leveraged, I don't know. I'm not ready to buy the break in either of these metals here.
Yeah, and we should mention platinum. It wasn't limited to that too. Platinum down
No.
18%
Platinum
lately.
was the worst. It didn't make new highs while the rest of them were.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really, got hammered. And even copper had a strange move where they squeezed everyone in one day. And now we're back to, this is breaking down too. The way copper peaked too. So I'm looking for a period. That's why I believe that, and I've been talking about it for a few weeks, to raise cash, because I'm not looking for a crash, maybe 10% in the S&Ps, 6,200 or so, 63. But when you have cash, you could buy the break. If you're just still sitting there long, riding out the correction and have no cash, you can't take advantage of buying this break. Which maybe it isn't. So maybe this was a great break to buy. But if you're sitting there and you didn't ring the register on anything, now you're just trying to recapture your high watermark.
Yeah.
Learn to sell.
What's that?
Learn to sell.
Yeah. Gosh, that's the hardest thing though, isn't it? Michael asking, why are the markets selling off like this? And we'll get Coach's thought, but there are a lot of cross currents, Michael, right? There's not one holistic reason. And we can talk all about Kevin Warsh getting named as Fed chair. We're not going to hear from him for a while. It doesn't take over till March. And the sort of knee-jerk reaction to that, and then we'll see if they're right. They may not be right. There's a lot of stuff coming out already about he's close ties to the Trump family. So is he really? He's an insider, and he's been there a long time. So maybe it wasn't the obvious political choice. But I think we're going to have to see what happens. And it's the hardest job. Somebody just said, who would want it, right? But I just want to bring up another thing that happened while we're all watching silver fall out of bed. Technology. And I know this is another thing that you've been warning about for a while, Coach. You've been kind of bearish those Mag 7 names. We had big earnings come out this week from Microsoft, which took it on the nose earlier this week. Meta seemed to go in the other direction. Apple had a good report by all means, exceeded iPhone sales. That stock got hit. And there's this sort of a lot of concern still, it seems like, about tech from a narrative perspective. And somebody wrote, Divergence wrote that, now the memory chips that have been rallying, those costs are going up. So if you use memory chips, you're starting to feel the pinch. We heard that in some of the earnings reports. So that sort of pain, whipping back in and hurting it. So talk to us about price action. What were you seeing from Mag 7? Did your thesis get confirmed? And how are you feeling here in terms of some of those names or that group as a whole?
Palantir breakdown. Going to $90. Been talking about it for a while. A continuation move in Uber on the verge of another breakdown. Broadcom trying to hold support. Looks like a top to me. Mag 7, they kind of reversed today. I still think they're going to take out 62. The semis were interesting. We gapped up. I forgot what news it was on. It was one stock that it was a moonshot. Anyway, we left what I call an exhaustion gap. You don't know it's an exhaustion gap, but I was guessing it was. And we filled it. And we closed kind of lousy. We never blew out the divergence this whole time. And, I was making a point on Twitter. Let me just get to the general market. First of all, the Nasdaq looks completely different than, weaker than the S&Ps. But I just want to point out something that I was tweeting, even the S&Ps, and maybe they could go to 7,100 still. But the groups that are weak, I think the semis have had it. Last week, one of our attendees mentioned how IWM got drilled last Friday. It never recovered. It's breaking down. You have a lot of wisdom.
The Russell, that small caps that everyone had moved into.
Yeah. But when you look at even the S&P, with all the bullishness, and we have a lot of bullishness, the greedometer is up there, a lot of greed. But when you think about it from the October high, with all this bullishness that we have, the high was 69.20. Okay. So in 4 months, we closed here at 69.37. So we're net 17 handles in the S&Ps in 3 months. To me, that smacks of distribution, not a market setting up for a melt up. But it has, I think that if it, we get this pullback to down here, it's kind of like pulling back the string on a bow on a bow. You have to pull it back for it to launch again. And that's what I think is going to happen in S&Ps. I think that Nasdaq, which looks a lot worse, is going to 22,400. I think there's 3,000 downside in Nasdaq, and maybe it's going to happen pretty quick. So maybe it's going to be tied to something else I have been right about, and I know there've been some things that I was real early on. Jackson Brown has a line in his one song, "Don't remind me of my failures, I have not forgotten them." But I get reminded quite a bit.
Sure you do. People love nothing more than that on social media, even though they usually don't make a call themselves.
I don't get reminded about this low I called in WTI and the pullbacks and to stay long, and that I was looking for 78. The same levels that we had the last time we hit Iran, and we're halfway there.
Wow.
So,
this is something someone brought up when you see things selling off and money, like big loss in silver. If we see a correction stock, the question is always, where does it go? I know you've talked many times about cash being a position, and that think about having some powder dry. Someone asking, is oil going to wake up? Do some of the proceeds from metal move into?
It's woken up, and look at today. Normally on a risk off day like this, oil would be lower. That's a daily. Look at the weekly. I wouldn't be short this market, and we do have a pretty good armada. I think I left you last week and we were talking about relaxing. I said, yeah, let's relax for a few weeks before we hit Iran. A friend of mine, Payman, came up with an interesting numerology thing that Feb 11th is the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Republic, and President Trump is our 47th president. What do you think? Just as a
well, I mean, we know this administration loves the sort of it's like the Apprentice style. Like they love the theatrics and optics of things.
Yeah,
so.
He needs I think he also wants a distraction from what's happening domestically.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into it.
No, but this is a political playbook that's nonpartisan, right? When you're having trouble, create something else for people to look at. I think that's an easy thing to say that is part of the political playbook, no matter what decade you look at. Cool Hand, Luke asking, how about an update on corn and wheat? Coach was super bullish early. Peter Bookfar, Cool Hand, were you eavesdropping on our pre-show chat? Because we just talked about the same thing. Coach has been talking about wheat in his Discord. Peter Bookfar did say he liked ags. Thank you for reminding everyone of that. If you were all tuning in on Wednesday, how are you feeling about that, Coach?
We're on the verge of a weekly breakout off of a 3-year base. There have been many false starts, but the expression, the longer the base, the bigger the launch into space. I'm telling people this is your Joseph strategy 2.0 and fill your storehouses. The fundamentals are terrible. We have abundance, we have oversupply. It couldn't get any better, but there are so many things that could go wrong. Ukraine, the breadbasket. There are droughts everywhere, weather. There could be supply chain issues. There could be disease. So I think this is going to become the silver of the grain complex. So I'm telling people to buy wheat, buy it anywhere, and hope it goes lower so you could accumulate more. But if you look at it on a weekly, we're on the verge of a breakout. And here it is on the daily. We're threatening the breakout. So buy any pullback. If you want to manage risk, you could have stops under 510. The beans also look good to me, not as good, but we have successive higher lows. I think the beans can rally, and corn's bringing up the rear now. But I talked to this woman, Margot Amala, who does a lot of planetary stuff, and she saw some of my tweets and some of my videos on my YouTube channel about me talking to wheat, and she had just written a study on all the past famines and where we are astronomically that we're entering into it. You know that there have been famines not because we've had a food shortage or the crops didn't come in, but we couldn't distribute it. Okay. And
distribution, as we've learned the hard way, but this is something we're going to come back to again and again. And this is why we do geopolitical specials sometimes and talk about what would a multipolar world mean? What does it mean if we're in this heightened geopolitical risk? And this is one of the issues, because globalization connected us all together. If we're dismantling that, it has an impact on supply chains. And, every once in a while I hang out with a bunch of chief procurement officers for some events, and this is a really big issue. And so you're right. It's not necessarily supply. It could be something else that we have to watch out for.
Yeah. It could be rust.
Yeah.
We've had, could be El Nino. We could have a drought here. All the news is negative. The farmers are going broke. They needed price supports. There's tariffs. Argentina could be in chaos. They're a big wheat producer. Even if it was just a corrective move, this was on the invasion. We went to $13 a bushel. So just say, let's be conservative, and it's not silver, and it's not going to take out this high and go to $20. Okay. But how about just a 50% correction from 14 to 5? That's $9. That could take you up here to $9 or so. That's a big trade.
We have a lot of keen ag folks in the chat today, which is so interesting. They're kind of having their own conversation, and I'll leave them to it. But someone just said Ukraine reports they expect their winter wheat crop to freeze solid the next few weeks. So
there you go.
Yeah, so there's a lot in that. I just want to mention, you guys are on fire today. I just want to mention a comment that Love is a Battlefield said when we were talking before about, I know
it's a walk in the park, Love. Come on.
Love the Battlefield. No, it's a walk in the park. I keep trying to get Dale to do a major.
Start that way, Maggie.
Yeah, it starts that way. Always starts that way, Dale.
All right.
But very seriously, he makes a great comment. We were just talking about, does something happen internationally to distract away from domestic problems? And he says, or she says, or is the domestic a distraction for the global?
Could be. Yeah, I've heard that argument.
Friend. Point taken. It could go either way these days.
Yeah, not to worry about World War III, because everyone's going to be too busy, every government, trying to control their population.
Yeah.
Because of social unrest.
All right, folks, I'm going to tell you, we're going to have time because we got a couple questions about specific stuff, but as if that's not enough to worry about, Michael Cow is a guest on here from time to time. He's been tweeting out some just crazy things I was sharing with a coach before we came on X about AI agents and their own social network. I don't know if you're all following this, but on Moltbook, I don't even know how much of this is real. I have not vetted this. There's so much false crap on social media, so don't take my word for it. But I can promise you, I'm going to be going down the rabbit hole because it sounds terrifying, and no one's putting any guardrails on anything. We have so much to worry about. But let's talk about how we can at least try to make a little bit of money while we try to survive this all. Okay. Question about Costco coming from Josh. I think it's Costco. COST. Yeah, Costco. Do you have any thoughts about that? I don't think you hold it, Dale, but can you pull it up, and does anything jump out at you?
I don't even
Again, not financial advice, just thoughts from an experienced trader.
I don't even have a card.
You don't even have a card
to Costco.
Oh, there's some good stuff. I don't go all the time, but there's a couple things I like there.
Okay, so what's the symbol again?
COST. Like cost.
Got it. Bad day. Bad week. 700. Wrong over 1,000.
Okay. Tesla.
You asked for it.
Yep, you asked for it. That's right. Again, you gotta sort of make your own decisions about what your time frame is. Tesla is another one. That's in the Mag 7. I was so busy with other stuff, but I saw the headline that they're not going to make certain cars anymore. Now it's all going to the robots. Speaking of no guardrails, God help us. But
I think you'll be able to buy it cheaper. I'm thinking maybe 240, maybe around 300. Look at it. Right. I think it could pull back. Look at these divergences. That's a weekly. Here's a daily. Yeah, it looks kind of heavy to me. So, call it 400 to 480 breakdown. This level is possible, but I'm looking for a 10% correction in the market. In fact, I don't know if the residency is continuing, so I want to give you guys some.
It is. The residency continues as long as.
Oh God! I tell you,
of course,
I've never been to the hospital longer. But I want to give you some numbers anyway, in case you take vacations. Kind of key on S&P 62.5. And then you could look at whatever you like to maybe start buying. Use that as a guideline. Use 22.4 in Nasdaq for those stocks to when you could start buying. So it's all one market, right, Maggie? And
yeah.
If the dollar is going to rally, it's going to pressure most asset classes, not just gold. And I don't know, I have to think there are a lot of people wrecked.
I'm wondering if we don't hear something. I mean, you got to think someone's in trouble and someone's facing margin calls.
They're going to have to sell other stuff.
Yep.
Selling can beget selling. No one thought that maybe something spreads from what's happening with precious metal books somewhere. So selling begets selling. And I think that we're going to have that for, a month or so.
Yeah, people sell their winners when they have to. And last question. There's so many good questions today, folks. You'll have to turn up next week. But you can email us, and if you're not subscribers, become a subscriber in Substack. Drop me a message, and I will put them on the list for next week, so we make sure we get to them. We didn't talk about Bitcoin, crypto, and I think we should. That looked ugly again. I think that in his Friday speed one, Brent Donnelly was like, there's just no bull case right now. Like he thinks it looks like there's a lot of open space on the bottom. What are you saying?
70 grand. And I've been saying that for months.
Mm-hmm. And you've been consistent.
And the reason is this confirmed low. So this is, this is what told me there's another low coming. So we have made a new low. We took out this low, I believe. What's this low here? Maybe we didn't. 85. So we didn't take it out yet. 81. We miss it by $50. But it looks like there could be some divergence. I'm thinking I'll be looking at what RSI is doing around 70 grand. and some crypto people think it's the age of Ethereum. So and Litecoin. I'm going to look at some Litecoin charts, but look, sentiment's been bad for a while. Everyone's bearish Bitcoin. Everyone was bullish Bitcoin, and now we could be completing something down here.
Mm.
So, and this is what is, but I'm waiting for the market to play catch up, Nasdaq to play catch up with this. Bitcoin led it. Really, we haven't made new highs in Nasdaq since October, so it really hasn't been that wrong. It's just ahead of it. So maybe Bitcoin bottoms while the market's still correcting, and that'd be something to look for. And people that might rotate out of precious metals into crypto too.
Yeah, we'll see. But right
Oh,
now,
I'm looking for buys. I'm looking for reasons to buy it down there.
I think we all are, but we got to get there first, right?
Yeah.
Just a note too, to add to our list of things, possible government shutdown this weekend. So just, keep an eye on that. Someone said Litecoin finally mentioned. Yay. Catherine's excited about that. We are too. So much we didn't even get to cover. The whole stablecoin Tether buying gold. I'm obsessed with that story. I don't know. There's a lot to cover, but we did what we could today. And we covered a lot, Dale.
Yeah.
But it's time to get to the weekend because we're tired again. It's been a long week. Someone asked, can they use your quote, your great quote about being a wave? I can't find it now. But they're asking for permission to quote you on that. Just always give your sword. Markets are like the ocean. They trade in a wave. Dale Pinkert, permission to use.
Yeah.
I think so. Just quote the man. I'm going to give you
Okay. Well, speaking about waves, great surfers don't try and catch every wave. They too wait for the right setup.
I like that. I'm going to add one to that I saw today.
Right.
And I was just looking for it on my phone. Enlightenment is when a wave realizes it is the ocean.
We're all one.
We are. We're going deep today, Dale. I love it. We have to.
A lot of profound bullshit today.
Well, you can all rely on us for that.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, Maggie.
Great stuff. Thank you as always, Dale. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and for being so smart and asking so many great questions.
Yeah.
As I said, and for those of you who are on YouTube, and those in Substack, feel free to message me. Go to Substack, subscribe. You can subscribe for free. You can pay too, but you can subscribe for free and message me and tell us what you're interested in, what you're watching, what you want to hear about. I am going to open up the chat. I haven't done it yet because I've been so busy, but I promise I will. And then we dropped the link for Dale's Discord where he posts his charts and has his fantastic discussions all week long. So go be sure to check him out there at TradeGateHub. Thanks, Dale. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Maggie. Someone on Twitter, on X, tweeted that I have to show up that you're one of the most engaged hosts on the net.
Well, thank you, whoever said that.
I agreed.
Fantastic.
I agreed, but I also had to say that I heard that guy Pinkert's not bad on the other side of the mic.
He most certainly is not.
What an ego. One
has to have one. All right, Dale. We have one weekend to rest before the Super Bowl. So
okay.
Go get it. Well, Dale's in California, so he's not warm, but everybody else stay warm and stay safe out there. It's kind of brutal, but enjoy your weekend. We'll see you again next week.
Enjoy.
Take care.